Avery, I can't get you started up now.
Two bastards sitting out there.
All right. Thank you all for joining us for the MRA Tourism Board meeting. Since I'm joining virtually today, I'm going to turn the chairmanship over to our vice chair, Councilman Reynolds.
Yeah, you can get it. I think you're over there.
Well, interesting.
You didn't know that, did you?
No. Thank you. Call the meeting to order. Roll call.
Avery Fricks,
Here.
Heather Kane,
Here.
Sue Harris,
I thought she was going to call me.
Sue Harris, John Newby,
Here.
Sarah Guile,
Here.
Kim Lynch,
Here.
John Winters,
Here.
Alex Reynolds,
Here.
Russell Sane, Chris Sneed. You have a quorum.
Okay, we do have a quorum. First rule of business.
Approval, oh, I'm sorry, it's the consent agenda. Justin, did you want to?
So the Community Support Subcommittee met last Wednesday at this time to discuss 3 tourism grants. There was initially 4 applicants, but one of them requires further discussion on staff's part. And I just took it off because it doesn't apply, or if it did, we have time to do it at the next meeting. But the Roxy Theater and Three Rivers Museum, the discussion was that we would provide a commemorative mug for the event. The cups have already been ordered, to my understanding, and so there was an amount of $1,300 for this event. The next one is Parks and Recreation, Battle for the Blacktop, which is drag racing. We'll talk about that a little more in a little bit, but they've recommended funding in $2,000 for this inaugural event. And then the third on the agenda is a Midway 4-H and FFA groups are doing a 3-day livestock show at Hatbox Hangar facility. We want to deny it in this program, but then in convention rentals, as they were asking for assistance with the rental, to put into convention event rental. So that's the 3 that we have in front of us.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
There's been a motion made and seconded. Roll call.
Avery Fricks,
Abstain.
Heather Kane,
Yes.
Sue Harris,
She told me she is on.
She's dialed in, but she's not unmuting herself.
Sue, you seem to be muted. Could you unmute your phone?
I think it's like #6.
John Newby,
Reluctantly, yes.
Sarah Guile,
Yes.
Kim Lynch,
Yes.
John Winters,
Yes.
Alex Reynolds.
Yes. And the vote carries. Number 2.
Number 4?
4, excuse me.
Consider approval of MRA Tourism Board regular session minutes, August 19, 2020, or take other necessary action.
We have a motion on the minutes, or any discussion?
Move to approve minutes.
Second.
Second.
We've got a motion and a second. Roll call.
Avery Fricks,
Yes.
Heather Kane,
Yes.
Sue Harris, John Newby,
Yes.
Sarah Guile,
Yes.
Kim Lynch,
Yes.
John Winters,
Yes.
Alex Reynolds.
Yes. Motion carries. Number 5.
Consider approval of claims for the month of August 2020 or take other necessary action.
All right, so in your packet, you got your general ledger and the vendor expenses by the vendor detail of the expenses. A couple of things to point out on the general ledger, you'll notice on that very first page that I took the petty cash that we kept in the office and went ahead and deposited it into the bank account just to take care of that. That's one thing we won't have to do closer to the end, and we don't use it a lot. And then you'll see that on the BOK line right there as well, where it was removed. There's also, if you look at page 8, my fingers got in the way when I was entering the bills, and I just coded the salaries to the health benefits line instead of the salaries line. It's still under payroll employee expense. It's in the right area. It's just not on the right line. I've already fixed that. But I didn't notice it when I did pull financials. And you'll see that on the vendor detail as well, that it's wrong, and I'll go over it when we do the financials. Other than that, I don't think I have any other notes on the expenditures.
Move to approve.
Second.
Been a motion to approve in a second. Roll call.
Avery Fricks,
Yes.
Heather Kane,
Yes.
John Newby,
Yes.
Sarah Guile,
Yes.
Kim Lynch,
Yes.
John Winters,
Yes.
Alex Reynolds.
Yes. And the motion carries. Number 7.
I think that's 6.
6.
Consider approval of financials for the month of August 2020 or take other necessary action.
All right, so in this section, you have a balance sheet and a profit and loss. On the balance sheet, again, you'll notice that under the current assets, checking and savings, that the petty cash is gone. That was just deposited into the checking and savings account. The small amount of inventory there, the fixed assets. And then under the liabilities, you will notice there's still that $12.45. We're waiting to pay that until October, until the end, so we get just all of it in one payment to the estate for their amount that's owed for merchandise in case we do sell anything else. On the profit and loss, you will notice again here that there's a large amount for payroll benefits. That should be $1,090.45. Salaries for August is showing 0. That should be $89.96.23. They're still under the correct area, just not on the correct line. But for the month of August, our income was $5,205.55. And then for the year July to August, it's a net income of $30,655.28. I also want to note that the payroll tax is low, and that's due to CARES credit that we're getting right now. So tourism is just paying their portion of the payroll tax.
We have a motion for approval. Any discussion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Roll call.
Avery Fricks,
Yes.
Heather Kane,
Yes.
John Newby,
Yes.
Sarah Guile,
Yes.
Kim Lynch,
Yes.
John Winters,
Yes.
Alex Reynolds.
Yes. And the motion carries. Number 7.
Receive tourism director's report and take other necessary action.
So thanks everyone for being here. Wish y'all were all here to see me. The August 2020 hotel tax collection report, $85,755.44. This is a great number, given where we are. Last year's number was $96,625, so we're just 11,000 short from where we were last year, which was up from the year before. So over the last 5 years, we're right about average of where we were. We're starting to see more events being scheduled and taking place. The Okie Fest Bike and Auto Show featuring Jason Bolin will be October 27th. Okie Jeep Jam, October 2nd through 4th. There's the Castle Halloween Festival will be taking place every Friday and Saturday in October. The Bare Bones virtual thing, which we'll learn some more about. Drive-in movies and concerts at Hatbox are being discussed. Drag racing at Hatbox, October 17th, and that's just within the next month. Each of these events are being designed with CDC protocols, with social distancing and strongly encouraging masks. So we look very forward to that. There's some other stuff going on. There's a guitar swap trade and show at the Oklahoma Music Hall of Fame. Still doing weekly shows. So still lots of stuff going on. I think people are, feeling comfortable that we can do events at a safe distance. We can do events while remaining safe and staying healthy.
Mr. Chairman, just want to quickly interrupt. Russell Sane has joined the meeting at this time.
Tourism Chamber and city staff are preparing for the changeover. Currently in our office, we're taking inventory of all tourism assets so that we can make the change as easy as possible and as seamless as possible. So, and then on our arrival list data, if you're looking at from this year, from January 1 to now, it does reflect COVID. And these arrivals are anyone coming to Muskogee, not necessarily for a tourism event or anything, but these are all tourists coming to Muskogee. Again, 30 miles out and stay for at least 2 hours to be tracked. But it does show a huge dip. Our lowest dip is in April, about mid-April, and then kind of builds back up. And right now we're back on the flow of what we usually see normally. We're seeing more cross visitation than normal. So when people come to an event at Hatbox, or if they came to do fireworks at the castle, they're spending more time in town. And I think that a lot of it is there's not events going on per se, or there hasn't been. And so these people are on road trips. They got time to kill. They're just kind of bouncing around, seeing what is going on and what's open, and taking advantage of those things. Arrivals per attraction look very different than they did last year. So if you turn to that second page, some things that we don't usually see as extremely high numbers, or as at least the front runner. Last year, Hatbox was second or third, but this year by far it is the number one person. And that's greatly due to the park staff keeping an eye out for tournaments that may need a new home this year, parks that were closed, and us having the facility to accommodate those safely and take advantage of that. So not only do they lead the year, but you can see one of these points here, they also lead in cross visitation. So we can see they had 6,083 hotel stays that we can track. They had 302 people visit the castle fireworks in June and July, and they had 109 people visit Honor Heights Park. So those are three examples of how this cross-visitation can show us very beneficial information. We have added Outlaw Speedway to the points of interest that we're tracking, and we've seen some great numbers with it. And along with, 4,498 out-of-town visitors on Friday nights, you can also see that spike that correlates with hotel stays. So that's another one that we're working closely with, and hopefully can do some big stuff with in the future. Other than that, we've teamed up with the state tourism department, and each couple months or each month they do a giveaway, a destination giveaway to a city in Oklahoma, and this comes with a 2-night stay, tickets to local attractions, and different things like that. But the real benefit on our end is the marketing and the email blast that go out with it. So that went live today. It's a package that consists of 2-night stay donated by Home 2 Suites. It has 4 tickets to the Oklahoma Music Hall of Fame, 4 tickets to the Three Rivers Museum, has $50 to American Pie, $50 to Run's Barbecue, and then a VIP castle experience to either the Renaissance Fair or the Halloween Festival. So quite the package for the deal. This is kind of one of Sarah's projects before she headed out of there, but we're very excited for that and to get the feedback for that.
What is the date?
It launches today.
It launches today, but when is the giveaway?
Giveaway will be October 15th.
Got it.
And the winning ticket, so to say, is good for a year. So all of those things are good for a year. They can pick, it's kind of marketed towards that castle in marketing images and things. And so hopefully we kind of know when these people are coming and can kind of track that progress. But we're pretty excited about that, and I think it's a good opportunity. If there's any questions, I'll take those.
Audit.
Oh, the audit is being done and should be ready at the next meeting.
Presented at the next meeting.
So just our annual audit, and
What about the new website?
the new website is up and running.
It is?
It is running. It's both separated. We got everything perfect how we wanted it, and then the website glitched when we took the two apart and deleted a bunch of stuff that we had put on there. So I think now we're just about ready to give that final thumbs up again and get rolling. But it's a kind of a directory-based site. And it is visitmuskogee.com. The chamber site is muskogeechamber.org. And so it's very vibrant colors, has a great video of Muskogee that we put together from our OETA special and some other videos that we've done in the past. And then people can, look up what's the top restaurants, what's the top deals. And it has capabilities for blog entries, things like that, where we can say, check out these top 10 guitars around Muskogee, check out these, things like that. So lots of interaction that can come with it, lots of good stuff.
Do you still have the ability to enter your own events?
Yes, we've kind of changed that portion up. Instead of having a login, there is an event submit tab where you can go in and fill out a form. Submitters have to have their name, have to have their contact email, and so that can stay on our end, but then we can go in and do that. One thing that I think is a plus coming off of being a joint community calendar as it was, I'm really trying to only approve those that are events for tourism and to promote Muskogee, much like the Okie Fest or Thursday nights at the Oklahoma Music Hall of Fame, instead of prescription drop-offs at the City Hall. Great event, probably not the best for out-of-towners.
It's a good program.
It is a great program.
But graduations at the colleges, high school graduations, that kind of stuff, it brings people in. That's what you're looking for.
Yeah, we're looking for that stuff to push and to add that stuff on there.
We don't want the drugs.
What about the app? Are we still under contract with that?
Yeah, the app is still under contract. Now that the website is very based from the app, it should increase of what it's being used. Last year, when we kind of did that, there was some discussion on, do we keep the app? Do we do away with the app? I think that conversation should still be on the table. This year wasn't the greatest year to be able to promote that app, but it is $399 a month, and maybe it's time to explore opportunities on, we have these tourism information kiosks portals, which are iPads on fancy stands. Can we lock it into that domain of visitmuskogee.com where they can search through that website on that portal and do the same things that they were going to do on the app? So we need to look at that in the future. The tourism department needs to look at that in the future.
And there's not really a lot of metrics on that, right, for us to measure usage or whatnot. That's the one that was pinging when you come into town and then it pops up, right?
Yeah.
So
Unfortunately, with us that have it in this room, I don't know if it cancels it out because we travel those lines every day, and it just hits us every once in a while. But we can definitely pull metrics on that and see how many people touch those push notifications, how many people have downloads, how many people have actively used it in the last week, things like that.
So we can see if it's worth it.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So where does the arrivalist data come from?
The arrivalist data comes from arrivalist.com, which is a platform that we subscribe to. It's completely separate than our website and our app, but it is using the cookies from different apps, much like Facebook. Arrivalist is one of their Visit Widget is one of their partners, and so they do pull the data from that, but you can't sort through it.
You cannot?
You can't. Well, on the Arrivalist side, they have hundreds of partners, and I just know that Visit Widget is one of their partners because they're at these conferences together. So they say, anyone downloading your app, we're tracking their responses or where they go. So that pings off your cell phone or tablet, and no matter, Facebook is the most prevalent one because most people have that and are going to open it while they're here. And so it uses that location services to make sure that you spend 2 hours within Muskogee, and then that's the giant circle. And then within that giant circle is probably about 12 now smaller circles called points of interest. And if you cross into that barrier for more than 15 minutes, it says that person A, B, C, and D were at the castle. And then they went to Hatbox Field, things like that. The most beneficial one for us is showing that the hotel district is what it's under, seeing the numbers there. And then you can also, so we can pull that number, and on a timeline, you can see this year especially, for Hatbox, you'll see it jump really high this year, and you'll see that hotel stay jump with it. So although we may not know exactly how many people from that softball tournament stayed in that hotel, we see that representative number where that's correlating and going back and forth.
I'm a nerd on data, so I really enjoy this, and it really shows that our tourism venues are where they're at.
Yeah, and so
and when we think about the flood last year, that's where those numbers were still low.
Yeah, so the time that we've had it, it's not, we're not at our best, but it shows us the possibility of everything we can see, and I think I haven't had one thing negative to say about it. Each one of these points of interest are supposed to be $500, and I'm just like, well, we're a small town, and they just add them in. So we.
It's still expensive.
It is. It's expensive. The subscription is $30,000 a year, but that was the number one thing that when this committee was formed was that we do visitor tracking. This is the top software in the country, in the world. Countries use the same software. Spain is really big on using this software, and so it has been a huge help, and I think it's worth every penny.
I agree.
Can the software track an area similar to like where you're saying Love Hatbox Complex? Is that if someone attends that whole area?
If somebody goes to that area, it will track them if they're in that area more than 15 minutes.
So theoretically, we could get one tagged on downtown so we could see what kind of traffic we're seeing downtown.
Yeah, there is an option where we can see them like the castle, for example. If you can picture looking over the castle and you know where things are, you can see their walking patterns of where people go. So people at Renaissance, people walk in the front door of the castle, which has vendors set up. You can see that they turn left, turn right, walk around the room, and walk back out the door. So because it pings everyone at such a different frequency that you can see that migration pattern through the places. And so having a big area like downtown, then we can see that. We on the Depot district, we grouped that whole thing together because those are so close together. What we can do is break that point of interest down to see over time when people were there. So like, if it was an event at the Oklahoma Music Hall of Fame, we just take that depot district, look at that week, and we can see, yeah, on Thursday night, there was a huge group of people there. Or if there's the Bass Reeves at Three Rivers Museum, yes, Saturday had a huge spike on that day. We can see where those people are. So trying to cost save money in case they were like, all right, that would be $500, but I think that would be a really good one to have.
So how far does it reach? In other words, if your central point is the depot, just say it's the park or the Hall of Fame, how far is it? Like how many yards will it go from?
It's up to like 6 feet. It's like
How many?
it's on target like around 6 feet.
No, I mean, no. How far will those targets go out?
The perimeter is
Yeah.
wherever we set it. So you zoom
I remember
in.
you defining that. You defined the space and,
Yeah.
or the venue.
When you're looking at it, you see like a Google Maps, and some of them, like the Five Tribes Museum, what we had to do for that one was take it and actually do the 4 points on the building, because if we did the property line, it's picking up a lot of the VA, and so that was kind of giving our numbers.
So what's your largest parameter area?
The castle, just because it is the largest grounds, but right there with it is the Depot District, which includes the Three Rivers Museum, the Depot Green, since we knew that was coming, the Oklahoma Music Hall of Fame, the Break, and the Little Theater.
That's bigger than Hatbox?
Oh, no, sorry, Hatbox.
Yeah.
So
Hatbox
could
is
you
clearly
go
the big-
to Civic Center or?
Yeah,
over
well,
to
the Civic Center
Maine?
has its own.
Oh, they have their own.
Yeah,
So-
it's right there.
Over time,
Those are the points, okay.
yeah, so these are all the different points of interest. So the Civic Center has its own. Let me see if there's not one on here. No, I think this is all of them. So like the airport is pretty large, but it just encompasses the runways and things. But yeah, I take that back. Hatbox is the largest, or the hotel district, because it jumps Highway 69. So they actually took two different geo fences and made them the same point of interest. So we're not getting IHOP, we're not getting Triad, we're actually not getting Quick Trip, we're just getting those hotel buildings.
I don't know. We talked about this when the first budget, trying to figure out if we could afford it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think just looking at it, you realize where our visitors are going, and through the hotels, we know we can spot it. And I love the idea of going through a week and saying, okay, this is when the event happened, this is the hotel peak, and this is what it is. And I agree with the $500, a hotel room and a family of four trying to have dinner and opening up to a venue.
Yeah, it's
Done. I mean,
it definitely gains its stuff. One of the 810 Ranch and Cattle Company, that's on there because Sue Vanderford was like, I promise you, I'm a tourism attraction. And I was like, well, let's just see. Not that I didn't believe her, I've seen her books, but let's just see what she does.
2,800 people.
Yeah, and so things that we may not think of as an attraction, she's pulling a ton of people from Texas to do weddings there.
Well,
So-
and that's key too, that we haven't talked about. Not only do we know what they're doing in town, you can get a breakdown of where they're coming from. If you wanted to invest marketing dollars in a certain region because you see a ton of reunions or something. Everybody decides that Muskogee is a place for reunions. I mean, I could go in and say, you know what, I'm getting a ton of business from Dallas-Fort Worth. I'm going to do advertising down there.
Yeah, so
I just think it's such a valuable tool that
It's very cool.
we can
it
do
needs
that
to continue.
for the whole city as a whole, or we can do that per point of interest. So when in training, they were like, let's just take the castle and let's see where their top visitors come from. And I said, Northwest Arkansas, Oklahoma City, and Tulsa. And right then it shot up, and those were the top three. And I was like, I've been there. That's where everyone comes from. And so it really, one, it validates what we're doing no matter what we're doing. And make sure that we're targeting the right audiences that are already coming here, that are used to coming here, that don't feel uncomfortable coming here. If you were to put a ad in Casper, Wyoming, you're just shooting out in the sky. But if you put a ad in North Dallas, Allen and McKinney and things like that, you're going to see a lot more return, and this is going to help us track that. There is a higher level of this software, which is like, we pay $30,000. This is like $64,000, and you can put a pixel in every digital ad that you have, and it will tell you that if somebody saw your ad in Dallas County, they came to Muskogee after that, and you can see the return on your actual digital campaigns. I don't think we're there yet, but I do like seeing it telling us where we should be targeting, where our people are comfortable on driving.
How many data points? You said each one's like $500. So is that a one-time cost?
Mm-hmm.
So you can have as many data points as you want. You just have to pay the $500. Is that just one time per year?
It's like a one-time setup fee.
Okay, but after that, then it's no more.
Yeah, so when we renew, it won't be another $500.
Because you could actually, I mean, shopping centers. I mean, just to see where the shoppers go.
Well, my
to your
plan-
point, downtown, some of those areas.
The things that I was thinking was, one, it could either be a revenue source. So like if a local business wanted to track that stuff, they're like, here's $500, so we could assist them in their marketing efforts.
So Alex, you can pay $500 and they can pinpoint right to you. Well, now it's $150. No, it's $1,500 because you have 3 businesses.
But you think about that from a business perspective. I mean, that could be a real revenue generator and that $64,000 may not be that much. I mean, what business wouldn't want to know how their advertising was doing, and at least any significant business, and where it's coming from, who it is.
Yeah, the state definitely has that larger portion, and many states do. Many larger cities, Tulsa and Oklahoma City, both have this program, and they, I'm sure, do that level. It's just a lot of money.
Well, and then it gets to the discussion whether it's really tourism or if it's marketing or where it lies. And I think this was the first year of doing this for tourism, not for marketing specific, businesses or landmarks.
Right.
And I think that's the next level to do is.
But my point is the $64,000 may not be $64,000. If you have 15 businesses or 25 businesses that want to know, you cover,
Sure.
well, totally cover your costs, but you could turn that into a profit center.
Mm-hmm.
So silly me always thinking about profit, but still.
Well, thank you much, Justin. I from the committee's group, and I'm speaking out of turn, Alex, but this really gives a perspective of what tourism dollars do and where those folks are at. And I'm really excited about it.
Yeah.
Really, it just shows that we've been on track for a year, and we truly have shown where we put the money and where we put it for events and activities and tourism, and it shows where it's at. Even with the bad last year flood and this year the COVID, it still shows that we have people that are coming in and seeing specific places.
Yeah, we've been, it's been a rough 2 years. But one last thing I'll say is, today a number showed up that I was like, this has got to be wrong. I don't know where this number's coming from, because it showed a big presence at the castle, cross visitation between Hatbox and the castle. And I was like, I called Brooke Hall. I was like, why would 302 people from a softball tournament be there? And I was like, maybe it's picking up people on the road and it's directing them down Harris Road. And she was like, well, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, it's fireworks. So I was able to dial in and see that, sure enough, 302 people. It wasn't all at one time. It was 2 people today.
It felt like
20 people tomorrow. So added up to 300 and
So that tracked the
83.
trickle effect from Honor Heights Park to the fireworks?
So while they were
information.
visiting from out of town,
It's real good
they
information.
went and did fireworks at the castle.
I guess cool is not the right word. It's just so, I'm geek 101.
That's wonderful to have the opportunity to look at where people are coming from and then see where they're going and which businesses they're visiting while they're here.
Yeah.
right?
help us
And-
pinpoint our efforts and see where they're working and where we possibly need more work.
And encourage collaboration.
It's very encouraging to hear your report, the increase in some of the numbers, and the great job you're doing. I'm excited about some of the events coming up, and especially some of the tracking devices and stuff, and looking forward to what we got going on in the future. Very exciting. Anyone else have any questions for Justin?
No, I'm ready to hear the next.
All right. Then we'll move on to number 8.
Receive report on status of upcoming transition of tourism programs and activities and take other necessary action.
Can't we all wait for the day that we don't have masks and tissues and?
Yeah. So, pardon me, I was taking a little sip of water and Tammy read a lot faster than I thought. Thank you for letting me come before you. You guys are well aware of what's going on with tourism. You've been the tourism committee advising the city on how to proceed over the last 12, 13, 14 months. And so in June, the city council voted to move tourism to an in-house department of the city. And so what we've been working on since then is how to do that, working some in collaboration with the current contractors at the chamber. And the timeline we originally had was 6 months through the end of December, and working with the chamber, that's been shortened to 4 months. So October 31st is kind of our time frame for transition. So in that time, we've had put together some work for an in-house tourism department, had discussions with the city council. There's also been a presentation from the Roxy Trust. They have had ideas about repurposing their trust to oversee tourism. The council's heard a presentation from them as well. So the council's in the process of evaluating what's going on next, what the next step is. It is the city council's policy decision. The money is tax money that comes into the city, and they allocate that. And so whatever the next step is going to require a budget amendment from the city to do those next activities. So I want to give you guys that update. There are good plans, good options on the table. And the council has had discussions and will continue to do so on those topics. We have a meeting tomorrow just with staff to talk about the transition, just what goes where, when, the logistics of a transfer, making sure that we understand, the next things that need to happen. And certainly we want to make sure that regardless of the direction that we go, that the good work that we're doing now continues in November, right? That there's not any kind of lag in the transition. And so that being said, I should have led off with this. When we see where we've come from tourism and where we're headed, I'm excited about it, because when I started working here at the city, which was not that long ago, our tourism reports were, here's the numbers voluntarily turned in by the people themselves at the venue. And if you guys that have gone to the Muskogee Little Theater, over the last 20 years, you would get your, if you went to the Little Theater, they'd ask you to fill out a form, and they would hope and pray that you would fill it out and say you were from out of town, because then they might get tourism money. So that was our old tracking system, right? About how are we effective doing that? It was based off the best data we could at the time. It wasn't bad, but we're able to do so much better now. And so I am excited about where we are and where we're headed. And I think this transition will go well as we look forward to what's going to happen next. I'll be happy to answer any questions, but this group has been instrumental in tourism over the last year and a half. And I want to keep you informed as we're moving forward, and let you know what we're doing, and that we do have our deadline approaching. We do anticipate, of course, this board meeting again next month as well, to approve claims and to continue that process.
Manager, so are you asking anything of this group?
No.
Because that decision is going to be made by the council, right?
Yes, that is the council is the policy-making body. And so I'm here, the agenda items for me to give you a report, for you to ask questions, certainly feedback to me, to Justin. Several council members are here because they are very interested in tourism. And so that is the purpose of this agenda is, like I said, for you to me to update you guys on where we're at and that we're moving forward and the progress. So that's the purpose of the item, and I'll be happy to answer any questions. And the board, obviously, Mr. Chair, you guys have the floor and can discuss.
Okay.
So has there been any consideration given to setting up something similar to the way John Cruz operates the Civic Center, where the MRA employs him and he runs that? Since the council went to all the trouble last year to set up the MRA, set it up the, how we have it right now, has any consideration been given to kind of setting up a similar style with tourism still continuing to answer to the MRA and possibly having a tourism director employed by the MRA?
That has not been a proposal that the council has given me direction as a group to have an in-house tourism department and in a public meeting. So that's what I have prepared. And so I have not given a lot of time and effort to not an in-house tourism department. All our other in-house departments are managed through the city, not hired through a trust or some other way. The council absolutely has the right to do different things with different information at different time, but that's not a proposal that I've spent any time on.
But in essence, we're kind of set up, we would be kind of set up to already do that with what's in place right now, right?
This body, the MRA, which is constituted entirely of the city council members, the Muskogee Redevelopment Authority, and then has tourism as part of their scope currently, and your board is a sub-board of that that has been assigned duties by that board. So we currently operate under, we're currently operating under a trust system.
Maybe you already answered this, but so would this board stay in effect, or would this board basically be disbanded and a new board created, or what's the thinking there?
I will. I know that there's some members of the Roxy Trust that are on this board as well. They may want to address it in that plan. The other, whether if it's an in-house department, then there may be an advisory board, because that we do that. We have a Parks Advisory Board. Dr. Winters is I believe the chairman of that. And so, we have lots of in-house departments that have advisory boards. And so that would be our anticipation if it's an in-house department. I've heard discussion about how it would be handled under the reconstituted Roxy Trust, but I don't feel like I'm an expert to be able to address that. And Mr. Fricks may want to or may not, but I do believe there was a role for the board or for a similar board to this in that plan.
That was correct.
There's the answer.
All right. Well, good. I didn't say anything wrong. I thought that's how it was. So, all right. Well, thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Miller?
No, and it's going to be a snarky statement, so just acknowledge it.
Okay, well, aim it at Roy.
Well, it's not. My snarky statement was, this committee voted to keep it with the chamber for a year, the contract with the chamber. The city council ignored the vote and decided to take it in-house. Now we have two proposals, one that's not in the house, which is a third party, one that's in-house. My snarky statement is, why you even ask if you're not going to follow the rule? It's the fairness. And you all know that I'm all about fair. And if this was directed by and it's not your fault, but if the city council votes for something to be in-house, why are we doing something different? I mean, so there's my snarkiness on it. I just firmly believe that you didn't listen to us before, and there's 7 city councilmen sitting out there, council people, you didn't listen to us before, so why do you even ask us? I mean, I think that's John's statement is,
Well, it was, but he's just here to give us an update.
I understand that, but I can't complain to anybody else. I can yell at Roy, I can,
He's like, why did I
Ivory's
wear a
already
sweater?
heard, I mean,
Kim, I will say this, that I think there's two things that I would want to say just in my role, because I can't speak for anything but besides my
no,
role.
and I'm trying.
Is, number one, I think the city council makes the best decision they can with the information that they have at the time. And so this is information they had in May and June, and now we're in September, almost getting to be October. And you may make a different decision at a different time based off having different information. And so that is always the council's prerogative to take the information they have in front of them, and if they have an idea, we can all look back through the history of Muskogee and say we decided we do this, and then we decided to do something different later on, and that's the policy-making body's decision, and that's their prerogative. And if they have different information and go a different direction, then that's their role.
So I assume there may be information we are not privy to.
Oh, I don't know about that. I think they're talking about tourism like you are. I don't know of any secrets. I think they've thought, and I don't want to speak for any of them.
No, you're not.
But
we get it.
People are talking about tourism all over our community. I think that's a good thing.
Yep.
And people are talking about trying to make it better in our community, and I think that's a good thing. And so when the more people talk about it, the more ideas there are.
Yep.
So that's all I'm saying.
Well, my last comment is real simple. There wouldn't be all this conversation around unless it was something good. So obviously something good has come out of what we've done, and what the council has done, and what the manager's office has done, and what Justin's office has done. We just need to move forward. And my feeling, we don't get our feelings hurt. We just need to go with what happened. It just looked odd until your update to me. I'm just going to be perfectly honest. It looked odd as all get out until you explained it, and so I feel a whole lot better about it now.
Okay.
I didn't, and of course I'm not. I'm 64 as of last Friday. I'm 64 years old. I'm a year from retirement. Amen, amen. Did I get another amen out of the pastor back there? But I'm going to tell you, that matters a lot. And the more transparent this thing is, it's good. But this is kind of like athletics. If people didn't care, nothing would happen. Nobody'd be talking. People care now because of the work that John Newby and everybody up here and the council, Roy, we've done good work. So just be proud of it. And I pray for the council that they make the decision that they will end. That decision would be what we as a board voted to do. Now that's my opinion. And I'm done. I'm going to be like Forrest Gump. I ain't got nothing else to say.
I'll add something besides dittoing what he just said. I think it's great. I think whatever happens with tourism, and I agree, I think a lot of good things have happened and can still happen. I think Justin's done a good job. I think a lot of people have done a good job. But I think you need to look at tourism dollars as a profit center, not as an expense. You have $1 million to play with, and there's a lot of money that can be made with that $1 million while you're doing, marketing should always pay for itself. That's why marketing always gets cut in corporations, because it's an expense item. But if it's set up to where it's a revenue item, you never have to worry about it being cut. So I think whoever is on that board or whoever's running whatever that is, you need to look at it that way. Otherwise, it'll continue to be a money suck. And it doesn't need to be that way. When you're talking about the 64 versus the 30, you guys are sitting on a gold mine of revenue with that product. I don't know if people really are thinking that way, but there's a lot of money there based on what you just said that the city could garner to help do other things, along tourism and so forth. So that's just my 2 cents. But anyway, good luck.
The budget has been changed over time too. It's kind of evolved. So I do think if it does go to the city like you all voted for, And there needs to be a set amount of time in place to try to kind of work out the kinks and adjust the budget to where it has a true chance to work before you decide to send it out to another trust.
Are we just open talking?
Mm-hmm.
If I don't have an agenda item, can I give updates on our progress right now?
I think we need to listen to them anyway.
I mean, I just, I've been keeping my finger on the pulse of what's going on, and I can't tell you all the reasons why, but Muskogee has just fared through COVID a lot better than other markets.
We need to, every now and then, you got to congratulate yourself. Be proud of what you do.
Last week, and so this is the week ending September 12th, for the last week, the entire market was up 1% year over year. So, and we've had several weeks like that lately. We have outperformed last year's numbers for several weeks. As of the running 28-day totals, I wish I had August numbers because it would give me year to date. I don't have those quite yet, but the running 28 days, our market is only down 5% year over year.
Oh my golly.
That's unbelievable.
Mark, good job. Good job.
So, with that to say,
A little budget is not gonna be a
yeah, the
little budget.
dismal budget numbers that we originally that you were originally working with, we're holding steady.
Mm-hmm.
So what are you saying? Be careful what you do?
Oh, I'm always saying, be careful, let's not lose the momentum.
Any other discussion? I'll move to adjourn the meeting. So adjourned.